Hello, my beautiful rock stars. It's your girl Rocqi, your revolutionary hippie from LifeIsRocqi. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. And watch my long form content. That's any video over a minute and help me get monetized. All right? Thank you so much. Before diving into today's episode, one, it's very hot, so I will be using a cloth. I never used to sweat this much prior to pregnancy. Like, all the weight I gained is like, just the sweat is just dripping now. I used to just glisten. So excuse this, but it's hot. And I can't have a fan on because I'm recording. So there's that. I also have this big shirt on, but it was appropriate for today's episode. I also got a placeholder ring. Because remember, my fingers got too fat. Had to stop wearing it. But I do have my engagement ring and my wedding band on my pinky. So there's that. And then also watch my previous videos, my unbelievable childbirth experience. Definitely check that one out, part 1 and part 2. And then also let's talk about breastfeeding and bed sharing. Okay? Those are going to be mentioned in these in this episode today. So let's get into it, shall we? All right. And if you're a longtime member but missed the update, yes, I cut my locks off. Woo! As a new do, okay? A whole new me, baby. A whole new Rocqi. All righty. So let's get into today's topic. The normalization of artificial childbirth and the primal instincts of motherhood. It's juicy. Okay. All right, so first, you have to recognize that both the hospital and health insurance is a business. We are in the United States where capitalism runs rampant. They don't give a about your wellness. They care about profit, okay? So because of that, that changed the baby making industry, okay? Because remember, the reason humans exist on the planet is because women were having babies, okay? And that was outside of hospitals for centuries. Now, if you want to talk about the safety statistics, I went on a really interesting rabbit hole of what happened when white doctors started pushing out black grandmother midwives out of baby making business. And then all of a sudden, women were dying in childbirth, but let's check the lack of sterilization that those white doctors used. I'm just saying, when they say, you know, women died, babies died, and all that other stuff back in the day, you really want to get specific about what date as far as back in the day are we considering, okay? I'm just saying. But anyways, to today, and even like as early as the 60s, like, twilight sleep was a thing. Like, we are just now learning the cis woman's body, you know, like it's we live in a patriarchal society and they didn't give up about us. I am trying to reduce my cursing because now I have a daughter who's about to be in the mimicry stage, and I'm not trying to have her curse because I'm cursing. We're going to have a discussion about cursing when she's able to understand it, but right now I gotta limit it, so therefore try my best. Goodness, it's like really hot. So, where was I? One thing that you need to know about having a hospital birth is the cascade of interventions. Okay. And the first and foremost, but it could happen either way, is an epidural. The medicine you receive in your back to numb the pain of childbirth. And basically they have convinced the mothers on this earth that they can't do it. That you can't do it, the pain is too much. Meanwhile, our ancestors did it. Our ancestors managed. And as a Black woman bringing back ancestral traditions and having a vaginal unmedicated birth with my first child, I was able to manage the pain. A lot of it is mental. A lot of it is mental. And I had my pain relief methods, okay? I had my husband's magical hands on my back. Woo! Magical hands, beautiful. I had my birthing ball. I had a labor playlist that was getting my mind all the way right. I had a yoga mat so I could get on the floor. Oh, and that's another thing. Upright birth, y'all. Upright birth. Why are you fighting gravity? The reason you're laying back on that bed is to help the doctor. It's not to help you birth your child, because you are the one delivering your child, okay? The doctor is there if anything goes wrong, okay? Know who's leading that delivery room. It's you, baby, okay? But yes, if you are in upright birth positions, the pain will be less because you're going with gravity. If you're literally perpendicular to gravity, yeah, it gonna hurt. But yeah, so if you start with an epidural, you can't walk. That automatically takes your power away from you. That automatically puts power into the doctor's hands. Okay? So there's that route. But what was shockingly disgusting to me was the normalization of induction. Like when I was talking to my doctor, now mind you, I had a high risk pregnancy because I have chronic hypertension prior to pregnancy. So they were concerned about my blood pressure during delivery. However, my numbers were looking good every step of the way. And so funny enough, after I gave birth, which was interesting, and it was like a month later, but that's another story. But anyways, while I was pregnant and during delivery, my numbers were fine. Okay. My blood pressure was looking good. Baby girl's heart rate was looking good. We was looking good. And yet my doctor wanted me to have induction at 37 weeks just because it's protocol. And I was like, nope, numbers looking good. We're going to go with the natural. Thank you. But my husband said he was in the waiting room when I was doing my non-stress test. And he was like, women were just like, yeah, I got my scheduled induction, then we're going on vacation, like totally normal. Like totally bypassing the fact that your body is supposed to go into labor when your body is supposed to go into labor. Like your body, your baby, like everything is working in tune. And it's not for the convenience of modern day society. It's like your baby is ready to come when they're ready to come. And again, the industry of OBGYN, obstetrics and gynecology, is in case something goes wrong. In case the natural phenomenon that is childbirth, the miracle of life that is in our womb and then we push out, in case something goes wrong. That's it. If everything's going right, why are humans intervening? Because when humans are intervening, when everything's going right, there's a high, more likely chance that something will go wrong. And therefore, we end up with C-sections. So let me also preface what I learned about the use of Pitocin as an induction. Now, they real slick with it and saying Pitocin is oxytocin. It is not. It's the synthetic form of oxytocin. It is man-made, meaning it's not giving you the natural benefits that oxytocin does. Okay? Pitocin is not like, oh yes, let's bond with our babies. No. It's the chemical similarity. That's it. Okay? So, a common understanding of using Pitocin as a form of induction is that increases the severity and the frequency of your contractions. So they're getting more intense, meaning it's painful as hell, okay? For you and your baby, okay? So what often happens is fetal distress, your baby heart rate, something starts happening to it, something starts happening to you, C-section. Now, I thought doctors get paid for inductions. I don't know why inductions would be so normalized if they're not getting paid for it. Somebody getting paid. Health insurance, somebody is getting paid for that. That's extra steps. You ain't about to just add in extra steps and nobody getting paid. I'm just saying. But I would say the likelihood of induction leading to C-section may be why they're willing to offer the induction, because C-sections, they definitely get paid. C-sections are surgery. Okay. So yeah. And just again, a recap, I had 3 different OBGYNs suggest a C-section for me, even though my blood pressure was good and baby's heart rate was good. It was because of the concern that my amniotic fluid was low, but my amniotic fluid was low because I was in labor. Like, but anyways, and me and baby girl were healthy. We were fine. So that was like the very interesting thing about childbirth was like, oh, and another thing. So not only was my OBGYN trying to get me to induce early, when I fully like declined, then she was like, well, like, I forgot the language she used now, but she was like, what's your end goal? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, when do you want to have your baby? Meaning like, it's not going to happen on my own. And I'm like, when she's ready to come, what you mean? And then she's like, well, what if you have a big baby? Now, mind you, we haven't talked about, oh, your baby is like ahead of the curve as far as size. My baby was right in the average range of size. When we were talking at that point, she was only 6 pounds, okay? And then also, I don't have a history in my family of having big babies, you know? So, interesting enough, my night nurse in my mother baby unit did have a history of having big babies. They wanted to give her a C-section, but she was like, no, I can do it. And her sister birthed a 13-pounder vaginally. Like, good God. But in my night nurse, the one who was talking to me, was 6 feet tall. So, like, big babies was in the family. It was a common thing. They could do it, you know? But yeah, she was trying to convince me then. I was like, you know what? We'll approach that when we get there. Like, what the hell? You're throwing out randoms to, again, for what? You're trying to convince me that I can't do this, that my body can't do this, that this isn't the natural norm of human history. I ain't my Black woman. We birthed humanity, okay? Not to mention my ancestors in this country, okay? I'm just saying. So there's that part. Whew. And then let's talk about breastfeeding versus formula. Now, how the normalization of formula came about, I don't even know, because we're mammals. Mammals are named mammals because of the mammary gland, meaning we produce milk, okay? There's milk in these bad boys, okay? So if we're producing milk because of pregnancy and childbirth, like, the milk is there. So for you to be like, nah, ignore that, let's switch to formula that comes from a cow's milk, and it's the same thing, a cow is a mammal too, like... And then you have to get the cow pregnant in order to get their milk, in order to make the formula. I'm very confused at how formula became popularized. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have a theory, if you know the history, please, I'm fascinated. Because, like, the milk is there. Why am I? Nope. Nah, not going to do that. We're just going to rock this formula. Yeah, I don't understand that. And then also, speaking to the ancestors, like, we were wet nurses involuntarily to white babies, okay? So that meant we was sometimes breastfeeding our child as well as the master's children. Sometimes they wouldn't allow us to feed on the same breast or at all. So someone else had to feed our babies. So now overproducing is a thing, you know? Call them village feeders, you know? So yeah, like, some women are blessed and they have an overproduction of milk and they can feed more than just their child. I'm a just enougher. My baby's good. She chunky. She healthy. But if I were to feed somebody else, I don't know. Now, I would say breastfeeding is biological, meaning, again, it's in our DNA. Our body produces it whether we like it or not. but I don't think it's primal in the sense of it's our instinct of understanding what to do. I think we aren't born with the know-how. It's something that we're taught. It's something that's passed down. I have seen animals who are not taught. They just know how to feed their young with milk. But I think we need a little bit more guidance. Humans are a little bit more complicated. So that's where that passed down generational knowledge is necessary. And just for record, my mom breastfed me for 3 months. My baby is now 4.5 months, and I'm still breastfeeding her. And breastfeeding is a challenge. I will say that. Breastfeeding is a challenge, and you do have to be committed to it. But to me, it's worth it because, like, of the nutrition. And again, go back to that episode, breastfeeding and bed sharing. Because of the nutrition alone, like, it's literally made for your individual baby. And it's also there to build their immune system. Like, formula ain't doing all that. Okay. It's just giving you some nutrients. But it's not like, because the way the breast works is it gets feedback from the baby's saliva on what the baby needs. Like, that's some high-tech stuff right there. So it is a privilege to be able to breastfeed. And the lack of paid family leave in the United States means there is a car show happening outside. Don't know if you can hear it, but that's what's happening. The lack of paid family leave means that some women have to go back to work. A lot of women have to go back to work. And then just on the, I can't afford to stay home. So pumping is a whole nother thing that comes with challenges. So it is more convenient to formula feed babies. It is more convenient. It is a privilege to breastfeed. But still, we like, you know how humans continue to exist? We have babies. Like, why aren't we prioritizing babies and mothers and families, like, in relationships? Like, but we prioritize money. The one thing we can't take with us, that's just a piece of paper that we gave meaning, has no difference from Monopoly money. Like, bruh, our priorities are all messed up. Other countries got it together, though. I think one of the Nordic countries, Norway or whatever, has 2 years paid maternity leave. Yeah. America is just on some bullshit. Woo! Okay, so, there's that. So as far as breastfeeding, my baby had a good latch from the beginning, which I'm thankful for. Didn't have any ties, so she was good. I would also say having an unmedicated birth experience helped with that. If you are drugged up, if your baby is drugged up, the smell that you need to connect isn't as strong, so like your senses are off because of the medicine. So yeah. Now let's move into bed sharing, contact napping versus sleep training. So the thumbnail for this video is Primal Instincts of Motherhood. My primal instincts didn't really kick in until this aspect. Like childbirth, I learned a hell of a lot. Again, check out my previous videos for all of the education that I took in to get ready for both pregnancy and childbirth. But it was really like, okay, I'm getting comfortable with my baby. I'm getting confident with breastfeeding. Now I'm on this sleep stuff and I'm starting to feel the pressure to sleep train her. People are already like, you need to put her in the bassinet. And I was like, well, she don't sleep in a bassinet and I'm tired, so she's sleeping in my arms, and that's where we're at. But I started feeling more and more people were talking about the sleep training. And first they started talking about it as a safety mechanism, but then I found resources. Check out the Safe Sleep 7 on how to bed share safely. But it was also like, before I even found that, it was common knowledge, like make sure there's nothing that could lead to suffocation. So no pillows or blankets by her face, by her nose. Although I was like, if she can find a way to breathe just, on my breast, like how? I was very confused. But yes, don't have anything by the face, obviously. I have a queen size bed, and I was in the middle of the bed, so there wasn't a chance of her falling off. But like, if your bed is like next to the wall or something, you want to make sure you fill the gaps. And then barriers. Make sure she's, your child's not falling off the bed. And also make sure that you are sober and alert. I would sleep with her, but I'm a light sleeper, so it was okay for me. And again, she's 4.5 months. She's still alive. But definitely check out how to safely bed share. I did do a short on that. But yeah. So that was the big thing at first everybody was concerned about. My concern about safely bed sharing was because she was so tiny. She was 6 pounds, 15 ounces when she was born. So that's what I was worried about. As she started getting chunkier, my concern lessened. Okay. But now as she's getting older, what I'm hearing about why I should sleep train is more it's an inconvenience to me. Well, you can't get any housework done. Where you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm like, so? Okay, and it won't get done. I'll do it when she's sleeping. And just FYI, now we have a floor bed. Check out Montessori floor beds. So that way it is safe. There's no fall risk. And what's it called? I can roll away. And she also gets that comfort. And we feed to sleep as well. So also a lot of the advice about sleep training was for formula fed babies. It's not for breastfed babies. Okay. But yeah. So people are like, you can't get anything done. I was like, so? Well, things won't get done. Okay. And life will continue. I would rather my baby be okay. Housework, there's a whole other person in the house. He got it. Like, or again, baby sleeping in bed, I can get up after. And then again, she didn't cry herself to sleep. I was with her. She went to sleep, and then we were good. Oh. People are texting me. But then the last thing was really wild as far as why people suggested I sleep train was because of basically individualism. Like, you don't want them to be clingy. You don't want them still in your bed at 5 years old. And I'm just like, let's assess your current family relationship and the physical affection that you show one another. Because I don't know about you, but physical affection kind of stopped for me around 5 or 6 years old. Looking back. And then it was only normalized for romantic partners. It wasn't even normalized in platonic relationships. So if I want to continue the physical affection with my children, because I have always been their home, I always will be their home, and even when they're creating a home for themselves, I will still be their home, I'm okay with that. And if you think about it, the world bed shares. And cultures of color are a lot more collectivist than the United States of America, where we are known for our individualism. But let's talk about the primal instinct, okay? So again, the only time my primal instinct really ramped up was with this conversation of bed sharing, contact napping, and sleep training. With breastfeeding, I was doubting every step of the way until we started hitting a groove and I started building my confidence. Childbirth, I was confident going in. I hit I don't know if I can do this, but then I ended with confidence as well. And I let out my warrior yell. Don't let them hush you. If you need to, you do that. Okay. But anyways, so I would say that's my primal instinct too. It's not my primal instinct to shut up. But yeah, primal instinct really ramped up with this bed sharing stuff because one, the cuddles of your warm baby and just the oxytocin that it gives you and the love and just yay. Okay. Also, we don't do the crying out method. I don't know how people do it. When my baby cries and I can't figure out why she's crying, and we've done it's not food, it's not a burp, it's not change a diaper, it's not you fighting sleep. I have no idea what's wrong with you. And that fighting sleep is a genius one that we didn't know in the beginning. It was hard to figure out. But when I don't know what's wrong with my baby, my heart hurts. Because crying is their communication. And if you're just going to ignore their communication for what they need, like this whole concept that babies are manipulative, a baby just came on Earth side, like 9 months in, 9 months on. Like they still don't know what's what. They don't know how to look and track movement. They don't know how to control their hands. Like, cause you see their development as they grow. So the fact that you think they can manipulate you because they're crying, no, they need you. And that's okay. They need you, and that's okay. So that being said, again, we are mammals. There are catch mammals, which are like deer. Let me store you here real quick. Run and get some food. All right. You're going to stay quiet, not attract predators. Gonna be gone for some hours, get some food, come on back. Then you have nest animals like dogs, bears, anybody with a den. When you say nest, you think birds, but birds aren't mammals. So basically when the offspring is helpless, they're in the safety of an underground area or a enclosed area, okay? I don't know if you know this, but lions also separate from the pride in order to have their young because the lions are helpless when they're born and they don't need to be around all the bigger lions, especially the male lions, So it's like they stay away for like 3 months and that's when they come back to the pride. Then you have follow mammals, which are like elephants and I would say like dolphins too, where they're like literally following the mom. They're ready to move soon after birth, okay? And then you have carry mammals, which we are. Humans are carry mammals. That would be like our primate brethren, gorillas, chimpanzees, all the apes. But also marsupials, like kangaroos and koalas. Okay. Now, our babies can't hang on like primates and marsupials. But if you look in the cultures of color, baby wearing is a thing. Okay, now I'm about to get ready for my traditional back carry, my traditional African back carry, but check out my shorts. I have one with the Moby wrap as well as the Lily baby carrier. But I'm really excited about the traditional African back carry. Check it out. For when I do that. But yes. Cultures of color have baby worn forever. And then again, we just got to this separate rooms thing. And some cultures of color still don't have that. We're all sleeping in the same bed, So that's included baby. So this baby has a separate area is new. And then also, if you do want to talk about SIDS, you also have to talk about the rise of formula, the rise of all this medication during childbirth, right? And the rise of solitary baby sleep, whether that's the crib or out the baby having their own room. You have to look at that in all correlation and combination, okay? To see what the actual causation is, because they don't have a cause for SIDS. They have, these could be factors, right? But humans are carrying mammals. So if we're baby wearing and that's getting normalized, we got all these carriers and wraps, right? That's getting real normalized. And yet your baby wanting to sleep next to the warmth of your body, next to your breath, is suddenly like, nope, too much. That's not appropriate. Like, bruh. They were in your womb for 9 months. They heard your voice. They heard your blood. They moved when you moved. Why do you think just because they're on this earth, they want to be by themselves? None of us want to be by ourselves. Even grown adults want cuddle buddies in the bed. There's now a profession, a professional cuddle buddies. Like, bruh, but you want your baby to sleep by themselves? That goes against my primal instincts. So, before this video gets cut off, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think your primal instincts of motherhood is? What are your thoughts on the normalization of artificial childbirth? And people getting their panties in a wad. When I say artificial childbirth, I mean you had assistance. Whether that was, and when I say assistance, something in you, right? Or, I mean, you could say pulling the head out and stuff is artificial childbirth as well, which there is a term catching because the mom is delivering the baby, but, versus pulling the baby out. But you got instruments and stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff that humans have created. And we're going into artificial intelligence, y'all. It's not that far a leap. We've already seen the signs. Okay? So unless it's a rope I can hang on to, or a stool I can be on and birth my baby, something to help me do it myself, versus taking my power away from me and doing it and somebody else doing it for me. But let me know your thoughts on the normalization of artificial childbirth. And again, I'm not mad at the science. The science is there in case something goes wrong. I just respect who we are naturally as women, as mothers, as a Black mothers,